Plaintiff Samuel Pella and his father Patrick say Samuel was best friends with the defendant. But after they moved in together, he discovered the defendant played video games morning, noon, and night, and he was a slob. Samuel's suing him today for breach of contract and emotional distress. Defendant Mason Woida says Samuel is acting unprofessional and immature, and he can't believe Samuel, a 24-year-old man, brought his dad to court with him. Mason denies owing Samuel for anything.
Start with you.
All right, Your Honor, I have known Mason Woida for almost 10 years now. We had been best friends for quite some time, had the same friend group, and last fall we had decided to move in together. Once we moved in together, I started to kind of learn some sides to Mason that maybe I hadn't known prior. For example, he would like to play video games from kind of the time he woke up until the time he went to bed. He would order in fast food. He would have the fast food wrappers all over the floor, all over his desk, all over his nightstand, basically just wrappers and cans littered everywhere.
Did he work?
Pardon me?
Did he work?
He started working remote, and so that kind of allowed him to be a little bit more free and kind of do that even more.
Yeah.
And then from there...
How'd you all get along, however?
For the most part, we got along okay. There were some instances here and there. For example, I went down to Georgia for a couple weeks, and when I came back, there were some dishes that were out when I had left, and they were still sitting out when I had returned, as well as other instances where he kind of took the liberty to just grab whatever from the pantry, my food, and we just thought it was all kind of free game to...
Just the two of you all lived?
It was just the two of us, yeah.
Two single men?
Two single men.
You had never lived with a single man before?
I had never lived with a single man before.
Okay, well, that's how it goes. Nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty.
All right.
So to backtrack, so to backtrack, I had recently, just shortly after me and Mason moved in together, my long-term girlfriend of almost 6 years and I decided to part ways, and so that was a very difficult time for me. On top of dealing with that and also trying to finish school as well, was just a difficult time for somebody. And so shortly after me and her had split.
When was that?
We had broke up in November.
Okay.
So just about
21?
Of 21, correct.
After that, what?
And so after that, while going through school, I had picked up a part-time job at a coffee shop, just to kind of give me some kind of purpose and just something to do. And so with that, coffee shops open very early. I would have to be there at 5:30. And Mason, along with his gaming, multiple instances all the time where late throughout the night would be either yelling at his video games, or would go from yelling at his video games to playing his guitar or his piano, or watching a movie with the volume very loud. And I would, ask him, "Hey, can you keep it down? I have to be
jealous. I know I am. You should be. Everybody should be jealous of that lifestyle. Yeah, and living off somebody else too, man. Hats off to you, Doc. You got the life. My goodness.
Defendant Mason Woida is being sued by his former roommate, who claims Mason was a slob and he played video games morning, noon, and night.
Let me hear some background from you.
Yeah, so Sam and I have been friends forever. We used to be best friends. As he stated earlier, we were in the same friend group. But the way that Sam has handled this, I never want to talk to him again. It is immature and unprofessional, and quite honestly, I think it just speaks volumes how spoiled he is having his dad with him. 24-year-old man can't handle his own issue. So,
how old are you?
I am 23.
He said 23-year-old stays at home like a little bitty kid playing video games all day. So which would you want to be? Go ahead, sir. That's what he says about you. While you issuing all your insults, he said you're a loser. All right. So long as you understand that he didn't already issue one, we can go back and forth with these insults. All right. What else you want to tell me? When you moved in, how did that go?
So when I moved in initially, a couple months after Sam and his girlfriend broke up, And while I was sad for him, he was walking around the house like a sad little puppy. And the fact of the matter is that wasn't the only thing that was happening. He was kind of inside of his head in a fantasy land. She reached out to me multiple times asking if I could check in on him and see how he was doing. And it just goes to show that he didn't accept the truth then, and he can't accept the truth now of what actually happened.
Okay. What do you want to say about your lifestyle?
Yes.
You heard the things he said.
So I recently...
You're up all night, keeping him up 3, 4 in the morning, playing video games. Yeah! I made it through! Very professional, I'm sorry. You know you like professionalism. Go ahead, professionalism.
Sam as well is an avid gamer and also stayed up very late at night as well, especially when he did not have a job at the golf course anymore that he was employed at. He was unemployed for some time.
So you all both play video games, you say?
Yes, and every request that he asked me, I turned down the volume. I apologized. I wasn't the only one screaming at games. We also played the same games together, and he also was very vocal. So it's not just one person. We both, and the reason that we live together.
So yes, I do play video games as well, and it sometimes do get loud.
Oh, let's get to the thing. What are you suing about? The breach of contract. You spend all that time acting like, oh, I just can't take video games. Oh, he makes noise. What are you suing him for, sir?
So the $2,000 comes from missing or none payments for utilities and internet.
What was the agreement?
The agreement was that we were both going to split internet and utilities and everything 50-50.
Okay. And what months did he fail to pay?
So in the months of April, May, and our final bills in June for both utilities and internet, he failed to pay. He paid very little. So I had reached out. The total amount that he had owed us was $2,065.72.
How much did he pay? Sounds like you said he paid some during those 3 months.
Correct. But actually, if we go back through February, is when his very little payments started of $10.
Let me hear from you, sir. Do you owe anything? If so, what?
I do not. No.
Okay. Do you have some communications where he agreed? Because he said today he doesn't owe. So we got, I don't know how many pages you have here. You got 16 pages. So out of these 16, do you have any communications where he says, I will pay you because I owe you?
No, he refused. There were multiple times when I had reached out for him to make up the payments that he had owed me, and he either failed to reply or denied that he was going to pay anything.
All right. Do you have the one where he denied?
I do, Your Honor. It is on page 11 of evidence. I had reached out to him because he had paid very little, and so I had asked, if for him to make up the difference that he had owed, and from there he chose to reply that basically everything for the apartment was on me, that I had owed everything, and that any of the charges for the apartment or the final bills for the apartment were all were up to me to pay.
Read where he says he wasn't going to pay.
So his final sentence there is, you're going to pay more in lawyer fees than paying for the break that you broke. You chose to leave and you broke the lease. I don't have $1,100 and my credit's already in the tank, so it's going to collections for both of it.
Defendant Mason Woida is being sued by his former roommate, who claims Mason was a slob and he played video games morning, noon, and night.
Sir, what do you say to that?
So Samuel broke the lease. I feel like it's not fair that he gets up.
Tell me what happened with the lease break.
So after his girlfriend broke up with him, he was kind of reevaluating. Nothing was keeping him in Nebraska. So he said, I want to go try something new. He informed me that he was leaving.
When was the lease up?
December of 2022. So
Did he informed you when that he was going to, he didn't want to keep it anymore?
January of 2022.
He informed you in January.
Correct.
And it was a 1-year lease.
Correct.
All right. And so what was the conclusion?
So I told him.
When did he say he was leaving, when he told you that?
So yeah, he said he was leaving in January.
How much notice did he give you?
Oh, he gave the, if you look at.
Oh, you.
Oh, me?
He's suing you.
Yeah.
So how much notice did he give the person he's suing?
He gave
That's
me.
your defense.
Yeah, he gave me a 4-month notice before he was leaving. Yes, correct.
When he gave you that notice, he had broken up already?
Yes, correct.
So he said, I'm breaking the lease early. What did you say?
I said I'm not going to pay to break the lease because we are only in this situation because you are choosing to leave. I should not have to get up and go and struggle to find somebody that they don't want to move.
Sir, what do you say?
So in response to that, I did give him a 4-month notice, and throughout those 4 months, I reached out to many of our friends and other people we associated with to either find someone to replace me on the lease or find an alternative living situation for Mason. And I had.
It was your responsibility.
Correct. Yep.
What happened?
And so I took the liberty, like I had said, to try and find a replacement or another living situation for Mason.
Satisfactory. It has to be satisfactory. Go ahead.
Yep.
And get a homeless person and put him with him and say, take it. This is the law.
Correct. Yep. And so from then, none of those attempts were successful. And so again, I had reached out and said, Mason, anything I can do to help, or whatever we can do, let me know. And Mason also basically just kind of sat around and wait for my final move out date to come before he kind of said, hey, I'm not going to pay for this, or this is all on you. He kind of just sat around and didn't do anything.
Okay. Do you think you were within your rights to break the lease?
I do.
Why?
Part of it was for career advancement. So like he had said,
you could break your lease for career advancements. That's what you believe?
We have the option.
You're going to be homeless a whole lot. If you think you can get out of a lease because you're moving or because you're getting a promotion, you need to take law. Your claim is dismissed. You broke the lease because of your career advancement, girlfriend, new whatever. You broke the lease, and you think you can. I don't know where you get that from, that you can sign a 1-year lease and then just leave whenever you want. Have a good day. Your case is dismissed.
Sam, I wish you would have never broke the lease, man. You could have just stuck it out 1 more year, but you chose not to, and you left me struggling to find a place, and you just left me.
I think this was more than just about the lease break. You trashed the unit when you left, and you refused to pay for any of it. As well as I didn't leave you abandoned at all. As soon as I left, you immediately moved in with Alex, and there was no issue whatsoever. So this whole thing that I abandoned you and I kicked you out on the road, and you talked trash to all of our friends about me, to the point that they don't even talk to me anymore, but you're trying to play the victim, is comical.
Grow up a little bit, man.